Hello and welcome to another episode of Next Week in Gaming. Next week is October week 2, and as usual we'll be covering game reviews, early access releases, bundles, deals and that kind of stuff. So first up on the release schedule for next week is a piece of DLC from CD Projekt Red. This is the Hearts of Stone expansion for The Witcher 3, and this is coming out on Monday the 12th of October. This is going to add a few more extra bits of romance, so you can, go out with a few different NPCs this time, as well as add a few more weapons and artifacts, just general little bits of extra content on the side, as well as a main quest line, which will have you complete 3 supposedly impossible tasks, one of which is trying to kill a mercenary captain who is apparently under an immortality spell, so that's relatively interesting. As well as this, you'll be able to play Gwent with a few more different cards, and apparently party at night time with a ghost. So a few bits of humour and a few bits of serious stuff, and some general excellent content coming from CD Projekt Red as usual. So our next release is on Tuesday the 13th of October, and this is by Kajak Games. It's a game called Ancestry, which is very difficult to Google for apparently, because Google seems to just relate everything to Ancestry instead. So some dodgy SEO optimization going on there. But this game is quite a mishmash. It's a weird mix between sort of Heroes of Might and Magic and Magic the Gathering, and just a little bit odd. So the general purpose of this game, it does have an offline single player practice against AI, but the general game is an online multiplayer, and it's not got microtransactions or free-to-play nonsense or anything like that. Is you are roaming around a battlefield, and it's like a capture and hold. You have to capture various totems on the map, gain more points than the enemy to win. But the way you battle is by battling your two armies together and then using the card battling system to summon spells and other creatures and things like that. So it's quite interesting. It's quite a very refined looking game, and overall it looks very interesting. So that one's coming out next week. Also dropping on Tuesday the 13th of October is Telltale Games Minecraft Story Mode. This is obviously a typical Telltale's game, so you'll have lots of dialogue options, lots of storyline, and lots of choices that will affect the gameplay in the later game as well, but all done through the Minecraft, well, I wouldn't say the canon necessarily because there isn't any, but in this very specific storyline that's been made for the game. Obviously the storyline is absolutely ridiculous, but you'll find yourself going all along the main world of the game. You'll see yourself in the Nether, and you'll see yourself in the end, and supposedly beyond that too. And there will be an actual storyline spoken by pretty famous voice actors. You should take a look at the cast, because this definitely looks like a pretty big deal. So it looks like Microsoft's doing plenty with the IP right now. Releasing on Thursday the 15th of October, also known as Mushroom Day, is a game by Untame. Now this is this is the strangest game I've ever seen I think. And I've seen a lot of weird stuff. This is Mushroom 11. This is a game where you don't technically actually move. Instead you delete part of your organism and it grows in the opposite direction. And what has been developed out of this bizarre mechanic is a highly intense and very fast-paced in some instances puzzle game. So you basically play a fungus or a mushroom or just a general living organism that seems to do some crazy shit, and your job is just to solve puzzles and go through all these absolutely crazy levels with crazy monsters and just weird puzzles, and sort of split yourself in half, move yourself across vast areas in some weird way or other, and just delete yourself as you go along and grow in one direction. It looks remarkably smooth, I have to say, and I definitely recommend you check out the trailers. Even if you have no intention of buying this game, just look at it anyway, because it is something to be looked at in awe. Releasing on Friday the 16th of October is yet another game in the long IP train of Warhammer. So this is a game by Rodeo Games, and it was originally on mobile actually, but now it's getting a full reimagining on PC, all through Unreal Engine 4. It's called Warhammer 40k Deathwatch, and it's a turn-based strategy game where you control a couple of badass space marines, and you're trying to cleanse Tyranid infection, so think Space Hulk, except probably a bit less boring. It is a mobile game, so take all of this with a bit of a pinch of salt, but bizarrely the PC is actually getting exclusives, including 3 Space Marine types from a couple of different chapters, including the old Imperial chaps. This is basically going to have a bunch of Marines that you can collect throughout missions, and then you can upgrade them with different weapons, and then you do those missions with those Marines. So it does sound like a relatively straightforward core concept that's just well rounded. So it certainly has the potential to be an interesting game. Whether or not a mobile game ported to the PC can in fact be as amazing as everyone hopes that they are. It has been done in some cases, so I've got high hopes for this. And on to our review title for next week. On Thursday the 15th of October, we will be publishing a review of Transformers Devastation. This is by Platinum Games, guys, the guys who did Metal Gear Solid Rising Revengeance, or whatever the hell that was called. And this is basically that, but in old school Transformers form. Now, I haven't been looking at this through rose-tinted glasses because I booted it up as soon as I got home from work on release day, and it is just as awesome as it looks. If you are an old school Transformers fan that used to watch the cartoons like I did, this is probably one of the coolest pieces of media to come out of the Transformers franchise in decades. Just on a quick glance, before I give you any more amazing details about the review, the game is extremely swish and very, very enjoyable. So tune in to us next week on Thursday for the review of that. That's it from us at NextPowerUp. Join us next week on Thursday for our weekly review at 12:30. And of course, join us next week on Saturday for our next Week in Gaming episode. As usual, leave your comments in the section below on what games you guys have been playing. Last week was a pretty good week for beaters, to be honest, with Rainbow Six and with Battlefront, not Battlefield, Star Wars beta coming out. I'm guessing most of you guys have probably signed up for that. So let us know how all those have been going in the comment section below. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.